सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। नमः श्री शंकरानंद गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलास महामोह ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे। ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। हरि ओम। So we falsify. What is the false? All this time we were hypnotized into thinking whatever is real and we were holding on to it. Now in this Tripti Dipa Prakarana of 7th chapter of Panchadashi by Swami Vidyaranya, he is explaining the Upanishad verse Atmanam chet vijaniyat ayamasmi iti purushaha kimichan kasya kamaya shariram anusanjvaret. While explaining the last part, shariram anusanjvaret, why would a person excite the body? For what reason? For whose sake? Now the excitement or the jvara or the agitations of the body, mind and intellect have been spoken about, the nature of the agitations and when they will stop. The body is nothing but the nature of the agitation of disease. The imbalance of Vata, Pitta, Kapha is only this human body. If Vata, Pitta, Kapha are in balance, this human body is not possible. And what happens to the falsified individuality? There is an individuality. Like when the fan is in motion, you say the fan is running. But when you put off the switch, the fan does not stop immediately after that. Even when you are going on a car or a bike, the car is going at a very high speed. Suddenly when you put the brake, the car does go a little bit more. The scooter does go, of course, with the screeching sound, and only then it stops. In the same way, with this knowledge, when does the body become liberated? So what is the condition of a liberated human being? What is the condition of a realized master? Yavat svadeha dahamsa naratvam naiva munchati yavadarabdha deham syan nabhasatva vimochanam. Yavat, as long as svadeha daham, there is a desire in the body. As long as the body is not completely burnt, meaning the body is not free of its vasanas, the impressions, the desires in the body have not gone. One way is to withdraw completely from the body and to very strongly believe that I am not the body. Even only when that knowledge is there, as long as only the knowledge is there and it is not a real experience, the body feeling always is there. Svadeha daham, because the impressions are there in the mind and the ignorance in the body will take some time to go, because the nature of the body is tamas, the nature of the mind is rajas, and the nature of the intellect is sattva. In the intellect, the realization can be very fast, provided we give ourselves to the process of Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam and have faith in the Guru. The intellectual understanding is very fast. At the mind level understanding with our likes and dislikes, it gets time to get translated, because there is the daham, there are the impressions of the desires are very strong. Naratvam na eva munchati. As long as those impressions are there, as long as those desires for appreciating the objects of the world, the situations in the world, the people in the world, wanting object, people, and situation, seeking after them, withdrawing from them, as long as all these desires are there, naratvam na eva munchati. The jivahood or the human being nature that I am a limited being will not be gone. Yavat arabdha deham syat. This body is a prarabdha. It has been well begun. There is a thought and there is a desire that has created this body. So this body is the prarabdha. Yavat arabdha deham syat. As long as this body is there, bhasatva na abhasatva vimochanam. As long as this body is there, the chidabhasa or the reflection of consciousness will not be free, will not be, it will not go away. The reflection of consciousness will be there as long as this body is there. As long as an object is there and there is sunlight, the object will reflect the sunlight. There is no doubt about it. Sunlight or any light. If the sunlight should not be reflected, then the object itself should not be there. So, arabdha degham syat na abhasatva vimochanam. There is no freedom from this reflection of consciousness as long as the body is there, as long as the mind is there, as long as the desires in the mind have not ended. This feeling of I am this limited body also will not go away. So will the ignorance come back now? We have gained the knowledge of the truth, of the self, of who am I. Will I become ignorant again after studying and after completing my PhD in mathematics? Will I forget 2 plus 2 is equal to 4? The possibility is there in the case of amnesia, in the case of forgetfulness or the damage in some part of the brain. Even for a PhD, to not be able to recall what is 2 plus 2 is possible. But in this case, there are certain knowledge streams. Once you get it, it stays with you for life. For example, they say the knowledge of driving a car, the knowledge of riding a cycle, the knowledge of swimming. Once you have learned it in this lifetime, it stays with you forever. The practice if the practice is not there, maybe for the muscles to practice it, if you don't practice it, you may have to practice. But the knowledge is there. It can be easily picked up. In the same way, this knowledge of the self, once it is gained, it does not go away. But for it to be completely implemented, it will take some time. There is a time when suddenly there are bursts of ignorance. We will see what is that. Rajjugnanepi kampadihi shanairevopasamyati punarmandandhakare sa rajjuhu kshiptoragi bhavet. Rajjugnane, on knowing that it is only a rope, the snake and the rope, example from Vedanta, you know there is only a rope in the garden path when there is a dim light. But still, earlier you have become afraid that it was a snake, and because of that fear, the body is shaking. Kampadi shanaihi eva upashamyati. After you feel scared, then somebody tells you it's a rope only. The knowledge has come, but still that shaking has not stopped for some time. Na eva upashamyati. There is a person who really saw a snake here, and she saw the snake in the afternoon in the Chinmaya Surya ashram. When I met her in the evening, at 7 o'clock, she's still shaking when she describes that. So the shaking of the ignorance, the shaking of the, this is not, in her case, it's not ignorance. It is a real snake. But when we ignorantly believe that the rope is a snake, we may have the knowledge, but the shaking will take time to stop, which is caused out of fear. Punar manda andakaresa. Again, when there is a dim light and when there is a rope, again we may think that it is a snake, because the andakara, the knowledge, the world is made up of tamas. The world casts its impressions in our mind. It does not illumine those impressions. Those impressions are dead impressions. They don't have the light of consciousness in them. So we will, for example, the blue sky, we know the sky is not blue in color, but every time we see the sky, we immediately see it as blue color only. It does not, even if it is a very great scientist, and if you ask the scientist what is the color of the sky, and you show it to him, he will say blue in color. Or when you ask the scientist, where does the sun rise, he will say the sun rises in the east, because it is a collective unconscious. Collectively we are seeing the untruth, or what is not real. You cannot wish it away, you cannot wing it away. Punar manda andakaresa rajjuhu kshiptaha uragi bhaveta. Even when there is mild darkness in future, the same rope will appear like a snake only. Evama rabdha bhogopi shanai shamyati no hathat bhogakale kadachitto martyoham iti bhasate. So it's very interesting. If after all this, if I don't remain in that realization that I am the self, then what is the point? We may ask. But there is no need to despair. We just have to progress. At one point of time, it will be very clear. It will be very obvious. There will be no shaking. Evam arabdha bhogaha api. In the same way, we have started enjoying something. We have started experiencing something. Shanaihi shamyati. The prarabdha karma, the physical body and the mind will only come to a balance in a short while. Like as I told the example of the fan in movement, or the potter's wheel that is spinning, or if there is an earthquake also and the earthquake stops, there is an afterquake effect is there. The rumbling and the tumbling and the gurgling of the earth is there for some time. The potter's wheel, even if it is stopped, it takes some time to come to a halt. The pot is removed and the wheel is stopped. The motion of the wheel is stopped. It takes some time to come to a halt. In the same way, the fan, when the switch is off, it takes some time for it to be seen as blades only and not as a spinning fan. Evam arabdha bhogaha. We are enjoying, or it is not suffering usually. Suffering also is there in the case of great Mahatmas. We see they go through so many physical pains, physical ailments, even the suffering of the mind caused by other people, the situations. It is there. That is called arabdha bhogaha. Whatever prarabdha has been set in motion, it is coming on its way. Api, even then, shanaihi shamyati. It only comes to an end in a very short, after some time, it doesn't immediately stop. Hatat, not by hatam. In Tamil, we say adam. The same is hatam. It is called hatha yoga. Hatha yoga means a little bit forcefully, you move the body, you move the breath, you forcefully control the mind through the practice of hatha yoga. Hatat, it does not become quiet. By abruptly, it does not become quiet. Bhogakale kadachittu martyaha aham iti bhasate. When the realized person can be going through the airport and the checks are being made on the realized master also, he submits himself to all the check like an ordinary person only. He does not say, I am self-realized, so all this is not there. There is nothing for me to, there's nothing to check in me. I am like the sky. I am consciousness, all these things. If he is asked his name, he will say his name. If he is asked to show his passport, he will oblige and show his passport or visa. If he is asked to be checked, he will go through the physical process of checking. And he will not say that I am beyond all this, and he will just, and during that process of being checked, he may not even remember that he is the Paramatman, or he is the Supreme, or he is the truth, or whatever it is. That all that knowledge that is there may not be activated in him at that moment. At that moment, he will be living like an ordinary human being. He will have the experience of the ordinary human experience. So that is possible. There is no hard and fast rule that you should feel like that Supreme God or you should feel like the Supreme Brahman at all times. Does it mean that this knowledge goes away? There is no point in all this knowledge. The next verse is clarifying. Naitavata paradhena tattvajnanam vinashyati jivan mukti vratam nedam kintu vastu sthiti khalu na etavata aparadham tattvajnanam vinashyati. By all these mistakes and lapses, like suppose a lizard falls and I forget that I am afraid of that lizard. I am identified with that fear, so I am afraid. It does not mean that all the sadhana that I have done, all the study that I have done, and all the Shravanam that I have done, the Mananam that I have done, and even the Nididhyasana that I have done will go waste. The temporary moment, the fear of this, because the lizard fell, and all that will be there, it will go away. Na etavata aparadhena. It does not mean that the knowledge goes waste. Tattvajnanam na vinashyati. The knowledge of the truth does not get destroyed. It is very strong. That knowledge is actually a memory in us. That knowledge is a memory in the sense, it is not like an imprinted memory created by the vasanas of lifetimes, but the knowledge because of listening, because of devotion, because of love, because of abhyasa, because of continuous contemplation, it is a very strong impression in us and it will not so easily leave us. We don't need to worry about that. It is like a very rich man. He does not need to worry every day that all his wealth is there, whether every day he does not need to go and check his bank balance. Because it is there, it is going to be there. If at all something is going away, it will happen in the conscious presence of that person, and so he will be able to process it consciously. Jivan mukti vratam nedam kintu vastu sthiti kalu. Jivan mukti, this liberation is not a vratam, it's not a vow that we take, V-O-W, not W-O-W. Vow means there is a process. If I have to take the vrata for Durga, if I have to take a vrata for Shiva, for Pradosham, or if I have to observe the Ekadashi vratam, I have to fast or I have to feast on fruits only. And next day in the morning, I have to do the Dwadashi Paranai. Only then the vratam of Ekadashi is over. We know the story of Ambarish Maharaja and Durvasa, how Durvasa was wanting to stop Ambarish Maharaja's Ekadashi vrata, and all that is there. So, if it is a vratam, we have to follow the rules. This is not a vratam. This is something relaxed. It's a relaxed work of constantly working on knowing the self and knowing and seeking liberation through that process. Even bhakti is not a vratam. Even when I say I love, for example, the gopikas were there. Gopikas were working hard on that churning, and they were saying, Aren't you buying Krishna? Aren't you buying Krishna? This Krishna costs 5 rupees. This is butter that they're selling. This Krishna costs 1 paisa. You can buy this Krishna. They will be selling butter, remembering Krishna, Krishna's names, Krishna's actions, Krishna's deeds. So the realization of Krishna has come into their daily life. So it is a game for them. It is not a vrata. It is not a hard work for them. Jivan Mukti, Vratam na idam kintu, it is not a vrata, this seeking after liberation is not a vrata, kintu vastusthitihi kalu. It is the abidance in that reality. Indeed, Jivan Mukti is not a hard work in that way. It is not a hard work in the sense, it is not something that we have to do in a short period of time and the results we get in the short period of time. It is a work of a lifetime. It is a very relaxed work. For example, you go on a holiday, you take leave from work, you sit in the train, you're relaxed in the train, there is no hard work in that. You are just sitting, you are just relaxing. You are doing something, you are going from one place to another, you are going to a hotel or an ashram room, you are going to check in there, especially when we go to retreats in ashrams. We experience what that relaxation is. The relaxation is there with some work. The work will be we have to get up early in the morning, we have to keep away our mobile phones. There are some work, there are some things that we do and some things that we avoid. Both will be done with a proper schedule. The schedule will be worked out for others. That is the example of what happens when we live in an enlightened society. When we live in an enlightened society, everything happens very beautifully for us. Then we can really experience the joy of relaxation. But when the society is not so enlightened, we have to do all the hard work. Only then it becomes hard work. Jivan mukti vratam na idam kintu vastu sthitihi kalu. It is the sthiti. It is the state of being. The state of being of the mind, the relaxed mind. The mind is settled in the truth, and at all times it is aware that there is nothing else but the truth. Such a person is in a state of relaxation, and there is no hard work at that point of time. There is nothing to do, nowhere to go, only to know that I am that truth, I am that consciousness. Dashamo pishirastadam rudan buddhvana roditi shiro vranastu masena shanai shamyati no tada dashamamriti labhena jato harsho vratavyatha pranavyatham tirodhatte mukti labha tatha prarabdha dukkhitam. Dashamaha api shirastadam. That story of the 10th man, the person hit himself on the forehead. Oh my God, I am the 10th man. No? Not I am the 10th man. Before he knew, he was only the alive person, the 10th man. They were searching. He was going on hitting himself in his forehead, thinking the 10th man is drowned. Because of that hitting, a wound might have happened in the head. But Shiro Pranahatu Masena Shanaihi Shamyati. He has found the 10th man, but that wound in the head will take some time to go. This is how in tamas, in this world of actions, the results will come a little later only. It will not come immediately. Shiro Pranastu Masena, like I know that I am the 10th man, then why this wound is not gone? It's a very humorous thing to ask. I have been shouting that the 10th man is not there, and I've been crying, hitting myself and crying. Now you come and tell me I am the 10th man. Why this wound is not disappeared? We cannot ask. The wound will take some time to disappear. In the same way, Dashama Mriti Labhena. Dashama Amriti. The 10th man is not dead. The 10th man is alive. That knowledge, Jataha, Harshaha, Vranav, Yatham. So, the joy is born because of that knowledge. Oh my God, that person is alive. I don't have to worry. There's a joy. The joy, tirodhatte muktika ranavyatha tirodhatte. The joy removes the pain of the sorrow of beating himself. In the same way, mukti labhaha, the gain of liberation, prarabdha dukkhitam, the gain of liberation removes all the sorrow, all the pain that we are facing from our prarabdha karma. Prarabdha, so whenever they say you have your mind fixed on the goal, pain and obstacles are what you feel when you have removed your vision from the goal. When you have removed your vision from the goal, then you will feel pain. You will feel your prarabdha. You will feel all the suffering and the dukkha. When you keep your eyes, vision on the goal, then you will not feel any suffering. Prarabdha dukkha shamyati. It heals the dukkha of prarabdha. And there are 3 more verses. Yes, okay. Vrata bhavad yadadhyasas tada bhuyo vivicyatam rasasevi dine bhunkte bhuyo bhuyo yatha tatham shamayatyaushadhenayam dashamav swamvranam yatha bhogena shamayitvaitat prarabdham muchyate tatha vrata abhavat. Since it is not a vow that I have to know the self and I am doing Shravanam, Mananam, Nididya, there's a lot of tension in that. When there's a vrata, there's a must to do. This is not a vrata abha. This is not a vrata. This is not a vow. Yada adhyasaha tada bhuyaha vivicyatam. Since it is not a vrata, it is only a relaxed process of learning and remembering and doing our sadhana and living life joyously and happily, facing the troubles and trials and tribulations of life as and when they come. There is no vrata in all this, that I have to do it this way, this has to happen. So, bhuya vivicyatam. If you fall somewhere, you are you lose your body, you lose your divine consciousness. You get stuck in body consciousness at point of time. No harm. Vivicyatam. Again, wake up and try to discriminate between who am I and what is not I. You will bounce back immediately. That's what Puja Gurudev says. In life, the tragedy is not about falling. Like how fast you bounce back from the tragedies show your spiritual progress. Rasa sevi, dine dine bhunkte. Everyone who enjoys food, every day they're eating food, every day we eat food. We don't give up sadhana. When we give up sadhana, one person was recently in hospital. So I was, came discharged from hospital. I was advising that person. He was feeling very worried because there are so many tubes around him, and that he was thinking that I have not done my puja, I have not taken my bath, I'm waiting for all these tubes to be removed. Then I can go take a bath and I can begin my puja. So I told her, it is okay. You imagine, even when you give them advice to make them relax, people don't relax. They want to be worried about it. So you imagine that you're taking the bath. You imagine that you're sitting in the puja room. You imagine all the utensils are there. And you imagine you're doing the Shodasha Upachara Puja. And you imagine you are meditating at the end of the puja. Very sincerely, I'm telling that person not to worry. Just lie down in the bed and imagine that he's doing it. He says, okay, thank you very much for your advice. I will also imagine that I eat food. So it struck me that people, it takes time for people, they don't want to accept it, which is a good thing. And the person has recovered and he has done his puja. It is very happy to see that. Shamayati aushadhena ayam dashamaha swam vranam. With medicine, this dashamaha, the 10th person is not there. That injury that was caused by beating the head with his hand is healed with aushadha, with medicine, with enjoyment. Shamayitva etat prarabdham muchyate tatha. So this prarabdha, the enjoyment about, wow, the greatness of the self, the glory of the self, the divinity of that self. When we are contemplating on that constantly, the problems of prarabdha get healed very fast. Kimichan iti vakyoktaha shokamokshah udiritah abhasasya hyavasthaisha shashti triptistu saptami. So this is the tripti, the content, the sixth state of the mind. When when desiring what? The statement kimichan, the spoken by the statement indicates freedom from sorrow. Desiring what means, for what does he not, what does he, desiring what? Shariram anusanjvarit. He is still moving his body, he is still facing difficulties. For what? For freedom from sorrow. So that is being explained in all this. This is verily the sixth state of the ego, freedom from sorrow. The seventh state, which is now described, is achievement or total contentment, that we will see tomorrow. So we have seen the six states of the ego so far, explained so beautifully, and freedom from all the six states. And the seventh state is Nirankusha Tripti, which we will see tomorrow. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kasyid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasorma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Mritam Gamaya, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om. Bole Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Har Namah Parvati Pate. Har Har Mahadeva. Hari Om.